Exercise 3.3 is what we're looking at. Don't forget to put the date at the top of the page. And what we're looking at is fractions, as you already know. And say you've got a couple of fractions. Say you've got 1/3 and you've got the fraction 2/5. And you want to go, which one's bigger? Is 1/3 the biggest fraction, or is 2/5 the biggest fraction? It's very hard to compare two fractions if they have different denominators. The denominator of this fraction is 3, the denominator of that fraction is 5. If you had, say, what's the biggest, 2/8 or 3/8, these fractions have got the same denominator. It's easy to say that 3/8 is bigger. So you go 2/8 is less than, the small side of the arrow points to the smallest number. So 2/8 is smaller than 3/8 because it's got the same denominator down the bottom, 8. And you just look at the numerator at the top and you see which one's biggest. The 3 is the biggest numerator. So 3/8 is bigger than 2/8. However, these ones have got different denominators. So first thing you do is you change them to the same denominator. So what you do is you go 1/3. Let's change that into a fraction that will have the same denominator with 2/5. So what you do is look at 3 and 5. What's the lowest common multiple of 3 and 5? 15, I think, because 3 goes into 15 and 5 goes into 15. Okay, so go away. So let's change 1/3 into a fraction with a denominator of 15. Okay, so what have you got to multiply by 3 by to give you 15? You've got to multiply 3 by 5. 3 5s are 15. So if you multiply the bottom number by 5, you have to multiply the top number by 5. Okay, so that'll be 1 times 5 is 5 on 15. So 1/3 is the same as 5 on 15. Now, let's look at the other fraction that we're comparing it with. 2/5, let's change that to a fraction with the denominator of 15. So, what have you got to multiply 5 by to give you 15? You've got to multiply that by 3. So you multiply the top number also by 3, and you get 6/15. So, what we've got, which one's the biggest fraction? You've got 5/15 or 6/15. Obviously, 6/15 is bigger than 5/15. So we put the little less than sign. 5/15 is less than 6/15. And then we go back to our original sum. And we go, the original fractions were these ones here. We converted 1/3 into that one. We converted 2/3 into that. So therefore we can write the final answer, 1/3 is less than 2/5. So if you're comparing fractions, you want to find out which is the biggest, which is the smallest, then you just simply get the same denominator. Okay? Let's have a look at another one. Let's just quickly do a couple more. Say you had two fractions, 3/5 or 4/7. The lowest common denominator, let's make it 35. 7 5s are 35, so 35. We've got to multiply that there by 7 to give you 35, so we multiply the top number by 7. It's 21/35. This fraction here, what have you got to multiply the 7 by to give you 35? You've got to multiply it by 5. Okay, so we get 35 on the bottom line for the denominator. Multiply the top number by 5. 4 5s are 20. So we can see that 21/35 is greater than 20/35. So therefore, back to the original fraction, that means that 3/5 is greater than 4/7. Now, let's just do one more quickly of comparing fractions. Say you had 15 on 6 as a fraction, and you had 2 and 7/12 as a fraction. Now, we've got to get them to a common denominator. So the common denominator we'll make is 12, because 6 goes into 12. So you go, right, let's rewrite this fraction here with a denominator of 12. What have we got to multiply 6 by to give you 12? You've got to multiply it by 2. So that means we have to multiply the 15 by 2. That's 30/12. This fraction, now it's a mixed fraction at the moment, so we want to get rid of the 2 in front and write it as an improper fraction. So all you do is you get the number out the front, the 2, and you multiply it by the denominator. So it's 2 times 12 is 24, so 24 plus 7 is 31. Okay, so that will equal 31 over 12 as an improper fraction. Now you can compare these two, and you can see that 30 over 12 is less than 31 over 12. So all we do now is we look at our original fractions that we started off with and just put the less than sign in. So 15 over 6 is less than 2 and 7 over 12. Now what I want you to have a go at is do all of number 1. Okay, don't worry about number 2, just do all of number 1, and once you've done that, watch some more of the podcast. Now, there is another way of comparing fractions, which is by visualizing, sometimes called a wall method. Like, say you have a couple of fractions, and you want to compare, say, 1/6 and 1/7. Oh, that's probably not a good example. Let's do another one. Let's do, say you had 2/6 and 2/7. What you could do is imagine a big, like, bricks in a wall going along, and you divide the first fraction, the denominator is 6, so you divide that wall into 6 equal parts. Just do that. You can imagine it in your head, or you can actually do it on a piece of paper. And this fraction here is 2/6, so you just shade in 2 lots like that. So that's 2/6 of that thing. And then you draw with an identical row of bricks underneath, but these bricks are going to be slightly bigger because this is 7ths. So you've got to divide this wall into 7 spots. And this is where it's really tricky to do, because who can divide things accurately in their head? So then we've divided this one into 7ths. So we want 2/7. So you just shade it like this. There's 2 lots of 7. And you can see that this is a bigger amount. It's like a column graph or a bar graph going into the side. 2/6 is bigger than, so you work out that 2/6 is bigger than 2/7. So this is a visualization technique. And obviously if you have to compare it with like 3/10, then all you do is you draw another little row of bricks, and this time you divide it into 10. There's 5. There's a total of 10. So if you wanted 3/10, you just shade in 3 lots of this. Now see the problem here? See that one there and that one there almost look the same, and you can't actually tell which one's bigger, 2/6 or 3/10. Okay, because with this rough diagram you don't have a very accurate scale. So in actual fact, visualization is only really good if the fractions are quite different. Okay, but if you've got fractions like 2/6 and 3/10 that are really close, then visualization doesn't work very well. So I tend to like to use getting a common denominator, because once you do it, you know you're right. But sometimes you can just look at a couple of fractions and say, oh, this one's bigger than that one. All right, so what I want you to do, in the exercise, I don't want you to do number 2. I want you to start working through the rest of the questions. So do all of number 3, and then start going through the understanding questions for exercise, what are we doing? Exercise 3.3, I think this one is. Okay, yep. It's on page 128. So I want you to do number 3. You can use either visualization technique to work out which is the biggest fraction for number 3, or you can use the lowest common denominator technique. So see how many you can do out of that exercise. That'd be great.